Okay, sige, let's begin. Hmm. Okay. So, ilan na tayo? We are 8 now. Okay, sige. So, let's begin. So, let me record this meeting. Okay, sige, ayan. So, to begin with or to start formally, so good morning everyone. I hope you're doing well. Ayan. So, I'm going to present my presentation. Saan ba yun? Present now. Okay. Sige. So, the first slide is intentionally blank. Um, these are the observations na nakita ko doon sa mga ginawa ninyong DLL. Okay? Ayan. So let's begin or let's start with the objectives or creating the objectives. Okay? So yung mga nanditong mga isi-share ko is actually galing sa mga kaklase nyo to or baka mamaya sa inyo yung mga to. Okay? So let's begin with the creation of objectives. So as you can see here, yung part dito is hindi na pre-provide. Actually, kayo yung magsusulat or mag-create ng uh, sarili ninyong objectives. Okay? So, madali bang gumawa ng objectives? Nadalian ba kayo? Or kamusta experience ninyo in terms of creating objectives? Okay. So dito sa first example natin, yung created objective ng isang estudyante were as follows, okay? So nakita ko naman na lahat ng objectives ninyo, no? Lahat kayo naka in number form. Okay, mas madali siyang basahin kapag in number form siya para alam ko kung ano yung expected skill na ituturo ninyo. Okay? So dito, yung objectives ng kaklase ninyo or baka mamaya sa inyo to are the following. Represent and explain multiplication. Actually, represent and explain MDAS. Perform a series of two or more operations and then solve expressions with MDAS operation. Okay. Well, technically, this kind of created objective is somehow accepted. But in creating objectives kasi, unang-una nating chine-check is the learning competencies. Ano ba yung mga assigned sa inyo? So, yung una kong ginawa is, in-assess ko muna kung yung created objectives ninyo ay based ba sa learning objectives na naka-assign sa inyo. So, therefore, ayan. So, makikita natin dito yung mga learning objectives dito sa bandang letter C, perform series of two or more operations applying MDAS. Okay? So, nakita natin na itong competency na to is the same with this one and same with this one. Pare-parehas lang pala. Okay lang parehas yung bawat cell dito. But if you want, pwede nyo rin namang i-merge cell ito. Pero sige, if you are comfortable, comfortable writing or let's say copy-pasting same content, just like what you did here, okay lang din naman. But some of you, ayan, minerge cell nila and then sinulat na lang yung mga pare-parehas na competencies. Now, let's go back. Is the learning competency or let's say, is the created three objectives here aligned with the learning competency assigned? Yun yung question na una kong titingnan. But kayo, ayan, let's do it together. Is the learning competency or let's say, is the objectives, is the set of objectives created aligned with the competency here? Yes or no? What do you think?
Ma'am, somehow connected po siya pero dapat more on skills.
Yes, they are somehow connected. Align siya. Um, skills, what do you mean by more skills? More skills dito sa objectives niya? Kasi we cannot change the learning competency eh.
Ma'am, kasi ano po, perform sabi niya po dun sa learning competence. Kailangan
Okay,
po.
perform sabi niya. Okay, sige. Yes. Yes, you are correct. Though the learning competency is more on performing. So therefore, yun din dapat yung focus niya. But before that, ano yung kailangan natin gawin before performing? Okay? So, in creating objectives kasi dapat meron tayong at least 2 objectives sa buong week na to or buong assigned week. Majority or let's say, pwede naman tayong lumagpas sa 3 objectives, pero dapat hindi pwedeng isa lang yung objective natin sa isang week na yon. Okay. So, since the learning competency is more on performing, before tayo mag-perform, we have to represent and explain. And then, we have to perform or apply MDAS and then solve mo na or let's say mag-solve na tayo ng problems involving MDAS. Now, napansin ko kasi dito, dalawa yung skill na nasa objective number 1 natin. You have to represent and then you have to explain. Before suggesting before suggesting revision for objective number 1, chine-check ko muna kung aligned ba itong objectives na to doon sa learning procedure. So marami akong kino-consider, baka mamaya tama nga naman yung created created objectives ng batang ito, baka uh, ginawa naman talaga ng bata doon sa teaching learning process. But it just so happened na hindi ko nakita yung iba sa inyo. There are some objectives na create ng mga iba na hindi naman ginawa ng bata doon sa learning process. Okay? That's why nagsuggest ako ng revision. Okay? So, I'm not saying na totally mali yun. I'm just saying na hindi siya aligned. So, you have to align either the objectives to your learning procedure or you have to align the learning procedure to your objective. So, dapat merong change para kahit pa paano parallel lahat or let's say aligned lahat ng learning content at saka ng learning procedure doon sa objectives. And in creating objectives, by practice na rin kasi, I usually suggest na bawat isang number, isang skill lang siya. Let's say for number 1, kung represent lang siya, o di represent lang. At least, isang skill yon na pwedeng gawin ng bata right away. At ang importante doon, makikita ko siya sa learning procedure. And then, kung gusto ninyong mag-explain yung bata, ilagay niyo yung explain na word or yung skill na yan doon sa second number ng objectives ninyo. And then again, dapat makita ko yun sa learning objectives ninyo. So by practice, 1 skill per number lang ang objectives natin. Okay lang na lumagpas sa 3 yung objectives natin, pero dapat hindi mabawasan, hindi maging isa, ano bang English na? Dapat at least 2 yung objectives natin, pero pwede maging more than 3 yung objectives natin. And yung arrangement ng objectives natin is from easy skill, from easy level to complicated level in where nandoon yung problem solving always. Okay? Sa nakita ko naman doon sa mga objectives na ginawa, somehow, nakaayos na siya from easy level to difficult level. When we say easy level, nandoon yung identifying na word, andun yung represent, andun yung determine, and then applying, and then solving. Ayan. So, by practice, ulitin ko, one skill per objective lang. Okay? Now, there are some cases kasi na kino-consider din yung there are some special cases na dapat i-consider din natin. Makikita natin yan mamaya. Now, anong importance ng content standard and performance standard? Okay? Aside from just copying and pasting it. Actually, sa buong quarter na to, sa buong quarter ng grade 4 level mathematics natin, this is the content standard. Okay? Now, in order for us to achieve this content standard, dapat ito yung i-manifest or ito yung dapat makita natin sa bata doon sa learning performance or doon sa performance standard. What I'm trying to say is that in order for us to achieve the content standard, dapat ma-manifest ni bata yung performance standard natin. Now, in order for us to achieve this performance standard, dapat magawa ng bata or magawa ng pupil natin yung specific learning competencies natin. That's why, dito sa learning competencies, always naka-base yung objectives natin. Kasi, ito namang objectives natin, ito na yung parang guiding light natin para sa pagtuturo or let's say doon sa guiding light natin in terms of teaching learning process. So from general, naging mas specific, and yung mas specific na yun, mas naging specific pa. And yung third level ng specific na yun, meron pang mas naging specific, which is the learning competencies. And from these learning competencies, meron pang mas naging specific. Actually, hinimay natin siya into basic skill na unti-unti nating ituturo sa bata so that ma-achieve niya yung learning competency assigned. So yan yung connection ng content standard, performance standard, learning competencies, and objectives. Okay? Next. By the way, do you have question before tayo mag-move dito? Bagay, meron pa akong more examples in terms of objectives. Okay. This one, next objective shared is this one. Explain multiplication, division, demonstrate multiplication, division, and then apply routine and non-routine word problems in real life situation. Okay. All of these objectives are accepted. But before we say na talagang, o sige, pwede na siya, we have to check again the learning competency assigned. Okay? So, tulad ng question ko kanina, is the set of learning objectives here aligned to the learning competency assigned? Yun yung number 1 question natin. Is it yes or no? Okay, sige. Actually, yung batang ito, meron siyang dalawang learning competency. First one is to solve routine and non-routine problems involving division of 3 to 4 digit numbers by 1 to 2 digit numbers, including money, using appropriate problem-solving strategies and tools. Okay, and then the second learning competency is solve multi-step routine and non-routine word problems involving division and any of the other operations of the whole number, including money, using appropriate problem-solving strategies and tools. Okay, so that's it. It is more on solving routine and non-routine worded problems. Pero yung first competency, it is more on numeral, which is solving 3 to 4 digit numbers by 1 to 2 digit number, or let's say dividing 3 to 4 digit numbers by 1 to 2 digit number. And then the other one is solving routine and non-routine worded problems involving division and other operations. Okay? So, sa objectives niya, meron siyang word na explain. demonstrate, and then apply. This set of objectives is somehow connected, actually aligned to the learning competencies assigned. Okay? Now, ang next kong titignan is, kaya ba ng grade 4 students na i-explain yung multiplication, division of whole numbers, including real-life materials? So to answer that question, I read the whole teaching and learning process in procedure part. And meron naman ako nakita doon na merong activity ng bata na more na assigned for explaining their work in terms of application of division, division of whole numbers including real life material. So okay, sige, accepted. Since nandoon yung word na explain or aligned yung objective number 1 doon is part ng teaching learning process or yung day 1 niya, sige, accepted na siya. Okay? As long as meron akong makitang learning activity or let's say specific learning activity ng mga pupils natin na aligned doon sa objective number 1, which is explaining their work, okay na yan. But some of you, I suggested revision. It's because I cannot see the alignment of their objective, which is explained into their learning procedure. So again, there are two ways on how there are two ways so that ma-align lang si objectives doon sa learning procedure or para ma-align lang si learning procedure doon sa objectives. Dapat i-revise na yung isa sa kanila so that magkaroon ng alignment yung dalawa. Okay? So ayan, yun lang naman. One skill per number naman, kaya sige, okay. Yun lang, yung if we want to make it uniform and then by practice then, we will arrange the objectives from easy level to difficult level. But by this time, I can accept this as is. Kasi talagang aligned naman siya doon sa learning competencies. Other than that, what is this? Next example is this one. Identify the common factors of given number. Write common factors and greatest common factor of two numbers using 3 methods. And then demonstrate understanding how to get the factors. Okay, why did I show this one? The first two objectives here are already specific. Kasi mag-identify, na-erase ko na, mag-identify yung bata, and then he or she will write something. Or let's say, he or she will write the common factors by using the 3 methods, which are listing, prime factorization, and continuous division. What is not acceptable here is the number 3 here, because it has demonstrate understanding. Okay? So, doon saan ko na ba yun share? Maybe doon sa assessment ninyo, ano? We cannot assess, demonstrate understanding, especially the word understanding here, because we cannot assign specific score to assess the level of understanding of the kids. So in order for us to assess kung meron bang understanding na nangyari, dapat meron tayong mas specific na skill or let's say specific na gagawin ng mga bata para ma-target natin ito. Well, actually, this one, you demonstrate understanding. If I'm not mistaken, it is based from your content standard. Ito siya. Ayan. So, tulad nga naman na sinabi ko sa inyo, para ma-achieve natin or para ma-target natin si content standard, dapat ma-manifest ng bata itong performance standard natin, which is the learner is able to apply knowledge factors and so on and so forth. Okay? And now, since it is still somehow general, so in order for the pupil to achieve the performance standards, maraming factors yan or maraming learning competencies na naka-assign yan para lang ma-target natin itong performance standard na to. So, in this week, okay, in order for us to partially target the performance standard, the student or the learner must manifest the learning competency assigned, which is writing a number as a product of its prime factors, and the other learning competencies na nakita ko. Yung style naman ng batang ito is that sa isang cell, sinulat niya na yung buong learning competency or yung dalawang assigned learning competency. So this one is the first learning competency, and then the second one is the second learning competency. So columnar type naman yung ginawa ng batang ito. Okay. Ayan. Siguro itong dalawang learning competency na to ay pwedeng gawin lang sa isang araw. That's why ito yung kanyang ginawa, copy-paste na lang. But technically, I suggest na paghiwalayin yung dalawang learning competency sa specific na araw. Or let's say, yung first learning competency, sige, since 4 na araw ito sa isang week, mag-assign ka na dalawang araw for the first learning competency assigned, and then the other or the second learning competency assigned dito naman siya sa last 2 days niya. Or depende sa sa difficulty. Kapag masyado namang madali ang first learning competency, sige, mag-assign ka lang ng isang araw for this. Ilagay mo siya sa day 1. Kung complicated naman yung second learning competency, you can assign the 3 remaining days teaching that second learning competency. Okay. Ayan. So, to achieve partially this performance standard, ito yung dalawang learning competency niya. So, therefore, the phrase demonstrate understanding here ay pinarevise ko siya because it is not specific. Okay? And then again, kapag dalawang competency or dalawang skill yung isusulat nyo dito, let's say, identify and explain, I would suggest na paghiwalayin yung identify and explain. Paghiwalayin ng numeral or number ng objective. So, one objective for identifying or determine, and then another objective for explaining. If ever man na dalawa yung skill na pinaplan ninyong ipalit dito sa objective number 3. Okay? Ayan. So generally, we cannot accept demonstrate understanding na phrase in terms of creating your objectives because it is too general. So again, base your objectives in your learning competencies. Always. Don't forget that. Next. Next example is this one. So sabi ko nga sa inyo, okay lang na dalawa yung objectives natin. Basta hindi lang siya dapat maging isa. At least 2 yung objectives natin. So dito, finds the area of irregular figures, and then second is find the area of triangles, parallelograms, trapezoids. Using using square centimeters and square meters. Okay. So again, before we accept this, let's check the learning competency. Okay? So ano ba yung mga learning competencies niya? Dalawa. Finds the area of irregular figures. 1, 2, parehas lang. 3. Bakit ito 5? So, okay. 1, 2, and then yung second is that finds the area of shapes, which are triangles, parallelograms, trapezoids, using centimeters and square meters. Okay. Alam ko na yung naging suggestion ko dito. Dapat, actually, 4 days a week na lang yung mathematics natin. So, kindly remove the column, just one column, and then change the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday into day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. Yun lang. But all in all, itong dalawang created objectives niya are somehow aligned to the learning competency assigned. Sometimes there are some students na kung ano yung learning competency na nakalagay, yun na rin yung objectives na ginawa nila. Pwede rin naman yun. Yun nga, pwede rin naman yun, walang kaso doon. Basta we are after the alignment of the learning competencies and the objectives all throughout the lesson plan. Okay? So that's it. Next one, ito. Okay, sabi ko nga kanina, may mga special cases na we have to consider objectives like this, set of objectives like this that has identify and describe. Kasi by practice kasi, I don't write, actually pati nung college, we were instructed not to write two skills in one objectives. That's why by practice na rin hanggang ngayon na nasa field na ako, I usually write one skill per objective. But when I saw this one, which is the identify and describe, tinignan ko muna kung ano ba yung learning competency assigned. So dito, yung learning competency assigned, nakasulat nga naman na identify and describe. So, I somehow accepted this because of the learning competency assigned. But if we are going to separate, the two skill, it is somehow, masasabi kong mas maganda kasi sa bagay, yun na yung naging practice namin mula nung college, di ba? O, ayan, way back college, so therefore, ang tagal-tagal na rin noon. So, tulad namin, or tulad ninyo, second year pa lang, gumagawa na kami ng lesson plan. So, from there, we practice one skill per objective. Okay? So, in this special case, I somehow accepted this kind of objectives here, this kind of set of objectives here, because it is somehow given, or let's say aligned to the learning competencies. Okay, that's it. So since the identify and describe here are aligned to the learning competency assigned, as well as relate one quadrilateral to another quadrilateral. Okay. Ayan, nandito naman siya. Ayan. We can achieve this, or objective number 3 is somehow aligned to the two remaining competency here. Okay? So dito sa Friday niya, although hindi na siya dapat, although 4 columns lang dapat ang gagamitin natin, it is somehow suggested that we have to remove the last column because we have to follow the 4 times a week for mathematics subject. And then again, kindly change Mondays to Fridays from day 1 to day 4. That's it. Ayan. So, case-to-case basis siya. Ito lang naman yung nag-iisang special case natin na dalawa yung skill niya. Kasi, dalawa yung skill niya sa isang objective because yun naman yung given learning competency niya. Pero kung kayang i-separate yung identify and describe, it is better in my judgment somehow kasi yun na yung naging practice ko. Next is the content. Next is the content. What's in the content? Okay, doon tayo sa part 2. Yung content natin, ayan, tignan natin kung yung content ba ay aligned doon sa learning competency. So dito, number theory and fractions. So ano ba yung mga nandito na learning competencies? We have addition, subtraction, similar, fractions. Kaya naman pala sinabing number theory at saka fraction. When we say number theory kasi, these are the, yung simple definition ng number theory. But based on my understanding, when we say number theory, we are pertaining to the basic properties of numbers. Basic properties of numbers. As well as the 4 basic operations. Okay? Kaya niya nasabing number theory ito because it is more on basic operations and fractions. Which is somehow acceptable naman siya. Number theory and fraction. These terms here are aligned to the learning competencies. If the content provided is aligned to the learning competencies, accepted na siya. Now, let's move to the learning resources. Yan. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, kung wala kayong teacher's guide, you don't have to write inputs here on the cells. Kahit wag niyo nang isulat to kung wala naman kayong reference na teacher's guide. Pero syempre, kapag meron, please write it. Yan lang. Pero kapag wala kayong gamit na learning material or other textbooks, you don't have to write just like this one. Ayan. You don't have to write anything. Just leave it blank. Now, kung galing naman sa internet, dito kayo sa additional materials maglagay ng input. Or pwede rin naman sa other learning resources. Doon sa other learning resources, accepted doon yung mga websites ng mga blogs or let's say articles na makikita ninyo. Itong additional materials from Learning Resource Portal, ito yung mga pinoprovide ng DepEd na information about your topic. Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na DepEd Learning Portal. Ayan, so dito ninyo ilagay yung link or let's say, yes, link na lang ng portal. And then doon sa other learning resources, nandito yung mga links ng articles and other textual format na nabasa ninyo which are connected to your content. Okay, how about this one? Learning content. The assigned learning competency is describes and illustrate parallel lines. And then compare parallel lines and perpendicular lines. And then we have cite examples of parallel. So we have to compare skills, and then one for describe. Okay. And then let's see kung ano ba yung kung aligned ba yung created or let's say written content doon sa learning competencies. Okay, yung content is more on parallel lines, intersecting lines, and perpendicular lines, which are, okay naman. Yun naman talaga yung main topic ng learning competencies natin, all about parallel lines, perpendicular lines, and intersecting lines. And then, yun na. Sa last naman is citing examples. So, yeah. The content here, the written content here is somehow connected to the learning competencies and acceptable na siya. Okay, now your procedures. Okay. There are two ways on how to write your procedure. It can be this brief. Ang importante lang, dapat meron tayong, or isali natin yung phrase na the teacher will, so that malaman ng writer, or let's say malaman ng mga readers ninyo kung activity ba yun ng teacher or activity ba yun ng bata. Kaya pinapasulat ko yung either the teacher will or the learner will. Okay. It can be this brief, but it can be also this detailed. Okay. And where the specific teaching learning process, or let's say the specific examples are written here. Ayan. So, pwedeng brief siya tulad ng first example natin under procedure, just like this one, describe lang kung ano yung gagawin ng bata at siya ng teacher. Or pwede rin yung ganitong specific. Either way, pwede. Basta ang hiling ko lang po ay isali yung phrase na either the teacher will or the student will. Ganon. And ang importante dito, dapat yung procedure ninyo ay aligned doon sa objectives ninyo. And yung objectives ninyo ay aligned doon sa assigned learning competencies ninyo. Yun lang. Ganun lang. Dapat mayroong alignment sa buong learning material or let's say learning lesson plan na ginawa ninyo. Okay, so before we move, do you have somehow, meron ba kayong gustong i-clarify or meron ba kayong gustong itanong before tayo mag-move doon sa next slide natin? Are you still there? Meron pa ba kayong katanungan or clarification? Yes. Wala. Meron yata nagsasalita kanina. Okay, let me check the chat box. Baka merong nagre-raise ng hand. Wala po, wala po. Okay, sige. Proceed na ako sa next slide. So, ayan, 30 na tayo. Good morning sa inyo. Sige, sige. Doon na tayo sa next slide. Next slide is your activity sheets. Okay. Marami na akong nakita activity sheets. Na ano ba yung activity sheets na binabanggit ni ma'am? Wala naman siyang binibigay na example, okay? So, yung mga nagtanong sa akin sa chat box, these are set of problems na isosolve ng bata na pwede ninyong ipagawa during sit work time or pwede ninyong ipagawa as assignment. Other than that, these are the specific examples ni. Nakaw. Pwede ko ba itong i-copy? Okay, sige, sige. Ayan. Wait lang, stop sharing. Punta ko dun sa website mismo. Wait lang, open ko lang. But in terms of creating your activity sheets, do you encounter problems? Or okay lang siya?
Okay lang po siya.
Okay, thank you. Iba to, ibang link. Wait lang po ha. Ibang link yung napuntahan ka. Okay, there you go. Okay, let me present my present window. There you go. Okay, ano nakikita ninyo? Nakikita niyo na ba yung link? Ay, yung ano, itong Google na to, yung search mo, yung na-search ng Google.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sige, i-click ko lang yung second suggested link, no? Ito, nakikita niyo na?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Okay, so ito yung mga sample activity sheets niya. Okay? So, click natin itong 1-minute multiplication niya. Okay, so we have this one. Okay, download mo 10. Wait lang, paano ko ba ito i-enlarge? Malabo na siya pag ini-enlarge. Okay, nakikita ba ng kahit pa paano maayos? Nung nakita ko to, naalala ko yung pinapagawa sa mga bata na ano na kasing tawag doon?
Window cards.
Correct. So, pwedeng ito siya in this form, parang window cards. Pwede rin namang may figures such as this one, equivalent fraction ng topic niya. Pwedeng ganito rin naman yung activity sheets ninyo. Ayan. So, ang nakikita natin dito is the title, actually the learning content siya. Tapos kung ano man yung direction, tapos ito na yung gagawin ng bata. Ganun lang siya kasimple, ganun lang kasimple yung activity sheets na ini-expect ko. But if you created your own somehow activity sheets na medyo mas marami compared dito, okay lang din. Pero at least meron akong makikitang content plus the direction plus yung gagawin ng bata kasi yun lang naman yung importante, especially the direction. Kasi yung title ng activity sheet ninyo, pwede nyo naman yung isulat doon sa caption na lang. Okay? Basta ang importante, merong direction na mababasa ng bata at nandoon yung gagawin ng bata. As simple as that. Now, sabi ko nga sa inyo noon, pwede kayong mag-search sa internet ng mga activity sheets, pero as much as possible, gawin lang natin siyang basis. So, since gagawin niyo lang siyang basis, gagawa pa rin kayo ng sarili ninyong version ng activity na yon. Okay? And then, as much as possible, kung kaya ninyong i-copy-paste yung reference ninyo, i-copy-paste na lang ninyo yung reference. Ganun lang kasimple. Okay, do you have questions? Ang importante dito, may gagawin yung bata na may sasagutan yung bata at the end of the lesson. Ganun lang. Okay. Sige, so let's go back doon sa ating naunang presentation, which is this one. Okay. So, yan. So, siguro, i-share ko na lang din yung link ninyo na yung link na pinakita ko kanina. Yung hindi naka-PDF format. Para kung gusto nyo i-browse, sige, i-browse nyo lang. After creating your activity sheets, half na yata ng class ay nakapagpasa ng activity sheets. Next step is actually creating the Facebook page. And then creating your 3-minute video lesson. Okay, let's go with the creating Facebook page. Ba yan? Wing. Okay, creating the Facebook page. Before creating the Facebook page, ako na lang mag-create. Before creating the Facebook page, meron lang akong tanong. Kapag ba in-upload natin, kapag ba nag-upload tayo ng videos, ng files doon sa Facebook page natin, pwede bang i-organize yun? Pwede ko ba yung i-organize in terms of video? Yung kunwari, sa documents natin, di ba? We can organize our files. We can assign folders for Excel files only. We can assign folders for Word only. Mga ganon. Pwede ko bang gawin yun din sa Facebook page? Kumbaga, mag-assign ako ng folder or ng subgroup for your video lesson and then another group for your DLL. Pwede ba yun? Or hindi siya pwede? Hindi siya pwedeng i-organize? Basta lagay lang ng ano doon, ng mga information. Oh, sige. Siguro i-explore ko na lang kung anong pwede kong gawin doon. Sige, so I'm going to create Facebook page, just like what you have suggested on our first or second day yata yun. Okay. For your 3-minute video lesson. Okay, other than the 3-minute video lesson kasi, kaya ako pinapa-revise yung mga iba. After nyo kasi i-revise yun, nagre-resubmit kayo, di ba? So, yung mga revised DLL ninyo, i-request ko sana na, o kung okay lang ba, na i-share ko yon, i-share natin yon sa Facebook page natin. So that, kapag kailangan nyo yung mga ganong klaseng files, you can just access it. And then you can read your classmates' work in terms of DLL. You can watch your classmates' work in terms of creating their videos. Other than that, you can share it to the target clients, which are the grade 4 pupils. Okay lang pa yun? Na share kung ano yung ginagawa ninyo right now. Kasi iba rin yung natututo kayo based doon sa experiences or based doon sa gawa ng mga klase ninyo. At iba rin yung natututo kayo based doon sa mga suggestions ko. Kapag nag-combine kasi yung dalawang yan, mas marami kayong matututunan. Kasi may makikita ninyo yung suggestion ko based lang sa experience ko. Tapos yung mga work ng mga kaklase ninyo based din naman sa experience nila yon. So when you conglomerate the two ideas, yung learning is mas maganda somehow because you are witnessing two experiences, or let's say two experiences in one page. Sabagay kasi yung mga sinasuggest ko lang, sinasabi ko sa inyo personally, sa mga concerned students lang. But when you see the changes or work, or let's say different work of your classmates, marami kayong matututunan. Yun nga lang, iniiwasan natin dito yung pagiging judgmental ng bawat isa sa inyo. Okay, na bakit ganito, bakit ganoon, bakit si ganito, ginawa niya naman ganito, yung akin, bakit ganun yung suggestion ni ma'am, gano'n. Ano ba magagawa ko doon sa mga yan? Okay, sige. Ang tinitingnan ko lang actually, yung number one na tinitingnan ko lang kasi is yung alignment ng objectives, yung created objectives doon sa learning competencies, and yung alignment ng created objectives doon sa procedures. Nothing more, nothing less. Yun lang, yung alignment lang. Yun lang. So, wag tayong matakot na ma-judge or may masabi kasi dapat masaningan na kayo kasi as early. Kasi kapag nagturo kayo, mas marami kayong mga critics. Ayan, so you have to accept it. Accept it na lang. Kasi right now, marami pa rin naman kayong critics right now. So, by this time, sa creating DLL naman tayo. Pero yun nga lang, tayo-tayo lang sa group lang natin. So, by the way, yung page na ba yun, pwede ko ba siyang i-privatize or para sa atin lang or pwede rin naman siyang iset as public? Actually, this is my first time to create Facebook page. I usually create Facebook group. Ano ba? Tanda na pero gano'n, hanggang sa group lang. Hindi ko pa siya nagawa as Facebook page. Okay, sige. Hindi ko pa nga alam kung anong mas maganda. Is it the Facebook page or is it still the Facebook group na ginagawa ko? Okay. Sige, do you have any suggestion in terms of this? I'm sure you experience doing Facebook page already.
Ma'am, pag sa Facebook page po kasi, yung admin lang po yung pwedeng mag-post po ng mag-post po. Tapos pag hindi na po admin, kunwari kami po hindi po admin, parang magiging visitors post lang po siya, ma'am.
Ay, ganoon. Sige. So, since ganun pala yung situation, ako lang palang pwedeng mag-post. Facebook group na lang. Nga Rod. Kasi, as far as I could remember, by experience, members can post on the group's page kapag Facebook group siya. Yung sa group naman kasi, pwede ko siyang i-privatize, tayo-tayo lang. Pwede ko rin naman siyang i-share as public. So, sige, so ganoon pala. So, ibig sabihin pag Facebook page, kung sino yung admin, siya lang yung makaka-edit lahat. Siya lang yung makakapag-share. Ibig sabihin, siya lang yung manager ng lahat ng information.
Yes.
Ah, okay, I see. Okay, I see. Sige, instead of Facebook page, I'm going to create Facebook group. Why group? Because gusto kong kayo rin yung mag-share. Kayo yung mag-share ng information ninyo in terms of the created video and yung DLL. Now, isa pa, yung DLL nga, wala pa kayong sinabing yes or no, ano? Okay lang bang i-share natin yung mga revised DLL natin sa group so that makabasa or let's say kahit paano may matutunan naman yung iba ninyong kaklase based doon sa experiences ninyo or based doon sa revised DLL na ginawa ninyo? Okay lang ba i-share natin yun doon?
Yes,
Okay
ma'am.
lang. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your responses. So therefore, ang expected ko nang gagawin nyo ngayon, pagka-create ko ng Facebook group natin, is first, i-upload ninyo yung revised, kung i-revise man yan, yung revised or yung retained na. Basta yung sinabi ko, okay, ang ganda, well done, ganon. Basta yon. kapag yung mga naka-perfect na 40-40, you can submit or you can share what has been checked. Kasi kapag sinabi kong 40, wala na akong correction doon, or wala na akong revision na sinuggest. Pero yung mga ibang grupo na sinabihan ko na i-revise, after na yung i-revise, that moment nyo lang pwedeng i-share yung revised DLL ninyo. Okay? I hope i-consider nyo po yung mga sinuggest kong specific details, in order for you to align everything which is your objectives to your learning procedures. And then take note na tingnan lang always ninyo na kung yung created set of objectives ba ninyo ay akma or aligned ba doon sa learning competences ninyo. If yes, then move to the next question. Yung created objectives ko ba ay aligned doon sa learning procedure ko? If yes, then sige, go, share it. Yan na lang. Yan na lang siya kasimple. Next is, since assignment ko to, kasi waiting na lang yung mga DLL ninyo, at saka yung activity sheets ninyo kasi meron na. Next is to create a 3-minute video lesson. So, based on my observation, doon sa naging experiences ninyo, mas at ease kayong magsalita if the video created is less than or at least minutes. Nagmamadali kayo kapag 1 minute lang siya. Sabagay kasi, pinoconsider nyo yung time. Okay, sige. Kaya nilagay ko dito, 3-minute video lesson at most pala, hindi yung at least. At most 3-minute video lesson lang siya. At most 3 minute, ibig sabihin, hindi na lalagpas ng 3 minutes, pero pwede namang hindi na abutin ng 3 minutes. Okay? Ayan. So, saan ninyo i-upload yung 3-minute video lesson ninyo? Para minsanan na din, i-upload niyo yung 3-minute video lesson po ninyo doon sa group na mismo. Tapos, sa group. Facebook group. Tapos, yung link ninyo dito, yung link ng file ninyo dito sa group, yun yung i-submit ninyo sa akin sa Google Classroom. Ayan. So, dito, ang gagawin na lang natin, ang gagawin nyo is to upload your video and then send me the link to Google Classroom. Tapos, yung mga scores and private comments ko, doon na lang din sa Google Classroom. Ayan. So, at least may privacy pa rin. Ayan. Okay, do you have questions?
Ma'am,
Or
yung
let's say,
topic ko yung gagawin namin.
na?
Yung assigned topic po yung gagawin namin, ma'am.
Ayaw nga pala kasi, 4 na araw pala yun, ano? Okay, so since 4 na araw pala yun, you have the freedom to choose which any of the 4 days yung gagawa ninyo ng video. Kayo na yung pipili kung anong araw yung gagawa ninyo. Okay? Now, dapat yung araw na yon, yung lesson ninyo sa araw na yon is somehow aligned doon sa activity sheets na isasuggest ninyo. Kaya parang magulo yata yun. Okay, sige. Ulit. Kayo yung pipili kung alin sa 4 na araw yung gagawa ninyo ng video lesson. And then, doon sa huli, you will promote or let's say, you will tell your target pupils to answer the activity sheets for this week, for that particular week. Kasi nakita ko naman yung mga learning competencies assigned ninyo is connected to one another nga naman. Kaya lang yun nga, may mga specific skills kayo doon which is written on your objective. Yan. So, all you have to do after you created your 3-minute video, you just tell your pupils to answer the uploaded activity sheets for for your lesson. Okay. So, yung ano ba yung caption na makikita ko doon sa group natin? Okay? So, since makikita ko naman yung mga pangalan ninyo, ang caption na lang natin doon is the content. Caption natin, I want to see the content. Caps lock. Caps lock. Wrong spell. All caps. All caps na lang. Juicy. Yung content, all caps. Tapos next, under the content is, wait lang, is the learning competency. No. Alam ko na. Content, and then specific week, kung ano yung week yung na-assign sa inyo. Let's say week 1, tapos kung ano yung ginawa ninyo ng video. Let's say day 2. Week 1, day 2. Ganon. Tapos ito na yung video ninyo, makikita ko na yung video. And then, yan lang yung makikita ko pala sa post ninyo. Now, i-test ko lang kung pwede bang mag-upload ng 2 files or 3 files sa isang post. Kasi as much as possible, I want you to upload your DLL, your video, and activity sheets. Kung hindi, mag-iisip ako ng other way. So, whatever will be the planned strategy in uploading your DLL and activity sheets, isa-share ko siya right away doon sa ating Google Meet stream. Ganun na lang. Okay, sige. Do you have any other question?
Ma'am, deadline po.
Deadline. Alam niyo ba, mga bata, na ang ating midterm ay sa last week ng March? At ngayon ay 1, 2, 3, third week. Kailan kaya ang pwedeng deadline natin dyan? Kaya ba ninyong i-pass until... Kailan ba? How about until Monday? Kaya ba yon? Basta before midterm. Kaya? Or marami kayong ginagawa? Today is March 15. The targeted deadline would be on March 22. Kaya or kailangan natin siyang i-adjust? Hindi kaya. Wala, di kayo sumasagot. Pa ba kayo? Oh, sige. So since may mga group ng students, or let's say majority of you are subject for revision in terms of their DLL, and then mag-create pa kayo ng video, sige. I'm going to assign the deadline on March 26, Friday. Kasi the following week is your midterm exam. Pero wala naman tayong midterm. Puro mga ano lang tayo. Puro mga ganito lang, application lang tayo. So March 26, is that okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you po.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you po.
Sige, thank you for your responses. Now, before we end this session, do you have any other questions? Clarifications?
How about po sa medium of instruction po? Kahit alam po ba?
About sa?
Medium of instruction po. English po ba?
Medium
O ganun po.
instruction. Medium of instruction. Grade 4. Taglish is still acceptable. In terms of introducing your topic, introduce lang kayo ng topic, English yung gagamitin. But in terms of explaining your topic, kahit mag-Taglish na lang kayo doon or pwedeng pure English or pwedeng wag naman pure Tagalog. Basta merong English word pa din or merong English medium pa din. Okay? Sige, Taglish. Sige. Accepted.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sige, ano pang question? Ulitin ko wag pure Tagalog or wag pure Filipino. Haluan natin ng English language somehow because yung intermediate level is actually transition yan from mother tongue to Filipino and English. So, yon. Although doon sa nakita kong, sa bagay, primary naman kasi yon. Doon sa nakita kong number of views sa YouTube uploaded videos ninyo, ang daming viewers sa mga gumamit ng vernacular language, especially yung Kapampangan. Or siguro yun lang yung unang video na nakikita nila. Pero ang dami ng viewers niya compared sa ibang gumamit ng medium of instruction just like yung Tagalog or Tagalog and ng English. So sige, since nasa intermediate level na tayo, kindly use Taglish but not pure Filipino. And pwede rin namang at most ay English. Kasi ang target lang natin dito is para maintindihan or para makaintindi lang yung bata sa lesson natin. Gumamit tayo ng Taglish. Pero if you are able to speak pure English or let's say majority naman ng English, mas okay sana. Pero sa bagay, yung mga bata, mas prefer pa rin nila yung Filipino language. Ayan. Okay pa rin yung Taglish or Filipino English medium of instruction but not pure Filipino. Okay pa?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other question or suggestion before we end this? Wala na? Wala na po? Okay. Kung wala na, I'm going to start, I'm going to stop the recording now. And in that sense, pwede na tayong mag-leave ng session because that's it for today. Thank you for your time. Congratulations everyone for a job well done in creating your daily lesson log for the first time. Okay? Sige. So that's it. Goodbye everyone. God bless.